Hello. I have been hoarding all of these pieces of paper since April. These pieces of paper are things that I picked out of my TBR jar, and usually when I do monthly wrap-ups, I either, if I read the book, put them in this jar, or if I didn't read the book, I put them back in the TBR jar. Again, have been hoarding them and need to go through them because I still have some over here, but I want to get these back. If I didn't read them, I want to get them back in my TBR jar so I can have a chance to read them again. If I will, who knows? All right, so I'm going to go through all these pieces of paper. If I read them, they'll go in here. If I didn't read the book, it'll go in here. Let's see what we get. I'm just randomly grabbing. Okay, the first one was Big Swiss. I did read this. I read this book back in June, so it will go in this jar. Yes. Why is this in here twice? Here's another sheet of paper that says Big Swiss, which I just put in there. So, you know, I'm going to throw this one over there. Bye. I don't need it in there twice. I only read it once. The Death Collector by Justin Richards. I also read this. I think I read this one in June as well, I believe. So it goes in this jar. Here we go. Doing good so far. I know there's a bunch in here that I didn't actually read though. When She Returned. I read this in May. When She Returned by Lucinda Berry. No, it was not in May. It was in April. But I did finish this and read it. Good for me. Okay, here's our next one. Alice in Zombieland. I also read this one. I read this one in June. This is by Gina Showalter. Did not like this book. I don't have it anymore because I unhauled it. But this makes me seem like I read most of the books that I pull out of the TBR jar. And I do try to, but I know that there's a bunch in here that I did not actually read. So maybe we'll get one of them soon. I don't even know. Okay. The Receptionist. Don't remember who wrote this, but I did read this. I read this one in May, I think. May or June. That was an Amazon first read that I got years and years and years ago. Okay, The Resurrectionist by Rath James White. I also read this one. Read that one in June. May? June. I read it in June. For my birthday month. Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I did also read this one. I read this one back in April. I pulled this out of the jar in March, but I didn't end up finishing it until April. So, hooray for me. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fluff. I did not read this one. I was supposed to read it, I think in July, but I didn't get to it. I read a lot of books in July, but I didn't read very many books from my actual TBR. So this one is going back in here to hopefully pick up at another time. Okay, we got, I don't know, a handful left. Let's see. The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I did read this. I became obsessed with this series. This is by Megan Bannon. I need to write a couple slips of paper because I've also I bought and read The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. They're behind this book, I think. You can't see on this. They're back here. Anyway, obsessed. Love that series. I got an advanced listener copy for The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam. Loved it just as much. Obsessed with that series. So yes, I definitely read that one. Okay, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I also did read this one, so yay for me. I read that one, I think in May. I can't remember. It was okay. It was young adult. I haven't downloaded the second one from Kindle Unlimited. I don't know. Like, I will read it to finish off the series, but I don't know if I'm in a hurry anytime to actually finish it. Thigh Gap, hashtag Thigh Gap. I did read this one too. I read this for Summer Ween back in July. That was by Chandler Morrison. I really liked that book. Okay, we have a few left. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 little slips of paper left. All right, the next one is The Glass Chateau. I did not read this one. I was supposed to read it, I think in August. No, I was supposed to read it in July. I pulled it out of the TBR jar in July. I don't really have an interest in this. I'm going to put it back in here for now and see if I pull it again, see if I read it. I don't know. I may end up just unhauling that one without reading it. My mom read it a few years ago. She left it here. She was visiting on a trip and then she left it here when she left because she didn't want to take it home with her because she finished it. And so it's like, it's on my shelves, but it's not a book that I necessarily would have picked. So I don't know how much I actually want to read that one. We'll see. We'll see. Bird Eater by Anya Alborn. I did read this. I read this one back in May, I think. No, it was, yes, in May. Yes, I really like that one. I love Anya Alborn. She writes such interesting books. They're so different. I love her writing style. The next one of those hideous books where the mother dies by Sonia Soames. I can't remember. I did read this one. I read this one in June, I think. I have already unhauled it because it was a young adult book that was like a collection of poetry. I enjoyed the book, but I wasn't ever going to read it again. So when I did my free little library like video, I unhauled it there. So, but I did read it, so it gets to go in here. This one, A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. This is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I did read this back in April. Again, I liked it. I did not like it enough to like jump into making sure that I had the second one and continue reading the series. I probably will. I think I put the second one in here for a book that I don't own but I want to read, but I'm not like rushing to read it. Okay, Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. Did not read this one. I really, really want to, but I just ran out of time. Very large book. And again, I read a ton of books in July. I didn't read very many off of my actual TBR. I had 12 books on my TBR, and while I did read more than 12 books, a lot of them were not from my TBR. Leviathan's Wake by James S.A. Corey. Yes, it's right here. I did read this. It is my dad's book. I need to give it back to him, but I did read that one. I enjoyed it. Again, not super jumping in to finish the series. It's very, very heavy sci-fi. And while I like that, it's not my favorite. And so, I will read the rest of them, or at least the next one. I just need to borrow it from my dad. I just haven't yet. So I do have plans to read that one. I just haven't yet. And the last one is Tinfoil Butterfly by, I can't remember who, but I did also read this one. So I ended up reading a lot more than I thought I did, because I think I only put what I've already forgotten. I only put like 2 or 3 back in here. That's very exciting for me. I feel like maybe I'm missing some pieces of paper. They may have gotten lost when I built my new shelves, because we obviously like transported them somewhere else and then had to bring them back, and I haven't found them because I feel like there's more that I didn't read. I will tell you, after August, which today's the last day of August, but after this month, I didn't read any. I only read 2 of the 5 slips of paper that I picked. So there's that. I also know there are a ton of books in here that I have read that I haven't pulled the paper for. So eventually I need to go through this and like pull out the ones that I've read, but I don't want to do that right now. So I'm not going to. So here is my update. Here is my list of these pieces of paper are books I own or books I want to read but I don't own. So this is my TBR jar. Last I checked, the books that I own that I haven't read is like 150 or something. I really need to get into these. But here's the books from my TBR jar that I have read. And it's getting pretty full. I'm pretty happy about that. So I've done a fairly good job of reading what I've been pulling. But anyway, I'm happy to get those slips of paper where they're supposed to be and not hiding. I have this Baymax right here that he is on my shelf, and my slips of paper hide behind him every month. And now there's much more space behind him to hide new slips of paper. Anyway, now I want to know, have you read any of these books and what did you think? All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.